Good evening, sports fans, and welcome into another episode of the Overtime Podcast with Sparksy and Jared, episode number 15 on this Tuesday evening, July 21st. And we're off to another week. Jared, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. Pretty exciting here to have Courtney. So, Courtney, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We have former Buckeye Central volleyball, basketball player now enrolled at Rio Grande University, Courtney Pifher, and thank you as well for joining us. And 2019 graduate of Buckeye Central High School, where you excelled in volleyball and basketball. 22-4 your senior year, 14-2 in the Northern 10 Conference, and you lost to Cornerstone Christian in the regional semifinal. You were third in scoring at 14.2 points per game, and third in rebounding at 7.7 rebounds per game. Talk a little bit about your senior year and how exciting that was.
Yeah, those were good times. My high school winning percentage was 83% overall in volleyball and basketball combined. So I've been really grateful to be a part of programs that have rich traditions and, really good community support. I remember when we went to state in both volleyball and basketball, we had people dropping off cookies and just stuff at the house. I mean, the tournament time is what our community really gets excited for. And, that gets us pumped up, and then just another reason to play for them. But really good memories to look back on, some of my best memories.
You talk about your winning percentage at Buckeye Central, and here lately, the past couple of coaches, and Coach Moore, Coach Capel, they've been very successful recently. Just talk about that success and how that has translated over to your time and how your college student-athlete career at Rio Grande.
Yeah, so Buckeye Central really has prepared me for the next level, and more importantly, my coaches. In volleyball and basketball, both coaches, make sure you have a strong work ethic, and that's important in anything you do in life. And Coach Capel especially, he came in around the time I was about to make my decision. So he was a positive influence and just a huge help in narrowing down my choices. He's a good guy and does the right things for the right reasons. And he's definitely got a bright future ahead of him. So I can't wait to watch his success.
So as a junior, you were fortunate enough to be on the team that got through the regional, went down to Columbus at the Schottenstein Center to play in the regional semi before falling to Ottoville. And Coach Moore was your coach your junior year. And then, as you mentioned, Coach Capel comes on your senior year. Talk a little bit about how they were different, but yet how they were the same and really helped propel your career.
Yeah, so honestly, both coaches had very different styles of basketball. Coach Moore was more of a up-tempo pace type of guy, and Coach Capel was really big on the fundamentals and doing the basics really well. If you ask both coaches, they're going to say they both work, just kind of more of your priority, but both good people, so.
Now, talk about that experience. Obviously, you still have a sister at Buckeye Central, and Claudia. I guess just talk about that experience with Coach Capel. Do you still hang around the program, obviously, and what's that like, and how has he been able to mentor you recently while you're still in college?
Yeah, even when I was at college, he would check up on me a lot. You'd get a text and say how things are going, and he's always there for me, and he's my neighbor, so I've known him my whole life.
So you end up having probably a lot of different options, different schools to look at, and we'll talk about that. But you end up down on the Ohio River at Rio Grande University, home of the Red Storm, this past fall of 2019. That's a relatively small school, 2,200 students enrolled. It's an NAIA school, and you ended up 19-13 overall, 10-6 in the River States Conference. And you actually got to appear in 29 games and scored 62 points, and actually ended up having 9 points twice, once against Ohio Chillicothe and once against a school out of Tennessee called Fisk. Why Rio Grande, and maybe what were some other schools that you were thinking about, and why did you settle at Rio Grande?
Yeah, so I knew from taking visits what I didn't want by the time I was a junior. And actually, the first time I visited Rio, I fell in love with the rural setting right away. I mean, that reminded me of home. And then from talking to the people down there and seeing how passionate they were about their sports programs, especially women's basketball, that reminded me of our community. And on top of that, Rio has a really good coaching staff, and their competitive program year in and year out. So for me, it was just finding that right fit in the classroom and on the court. And I mean, that was the best overall fit for me. But my last two schools came down to Mount Vernon Nazarene University and Rio Grande. But I had that opportunity to visit D1, D2, D3, and NAIA. But to me, it was more about finding that right fit than division.
You talk about a lot of the similarities between Buckeye Central and Rio Grande, and I guess talk about some of the differences that you've experienced, at least over the last year, with at least on the basketball perspective of things.
I don't really know if there's many differences other than everybody you're playing with has advanced skill sets and high IQs. Everybody around you is really good. But honestly, the thing I love about it is both programs, resembled each other. Coach Capel and Coach Smalley are very similar guys, and the way they, coach the game was just what I wanted in a program.
It's tough enough, Courtney, to just go in the classroom, to go from high school to the classroom and just be a student. And a lot of students will say, high school didn't really prepare me for college in the classroom, but certainly to be a student athlete at the next level is that much more tough. What did Buckeye Central, not only the school and the program, but the community do to help you prepare to be not only a great student at Rio Grande, but a student athlete as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Buckeye Central really takes being a student athlete. The student part really does come first in the classroom, and Buckeye Central is good at stressing that. Our coaches would always check up, with our teachers and in the classroom. And then another thing would be time management at college, especially, is more important. But for me, it wasn't that hard of a transition because to me, I always prioritized and got things done that I needed to. And I, really took to heart that being a student comes first.
With the coronavirus, things, at least last school year, were cut short. And I saw, today, I think you shared that classes are back in session at Rio Grande. Now, is that going to change things on the basketball side of things? How have you been staying sharp here in the off season so far?
Yeah, so when we got sent home, we all knew it would be so important to stay in shape, and especially because we didn't get to experience the postseason, and that's always a critical time to improve your game. But lucky I was enough to have my sister back home work out, so just pushing each other. We did a lot of bike riding together, and now we have our summer workout program from our coaching staff, so that's keeping me busy right now.
We're visiting with former outstanding athlete at Buckeye Central High School, Courtney Pifher, and has now finished her first year at Rio Grande University in Southern Ohio. And Courtney, big step, not only in the speed of the game and the physicality of the game at the college level, but what were some really major eye-openers when you had your first organized practice with the team down at Rio Grande, and then you got into the games, and what did you really notice as a big jump? I know you talked about the high IQ and the skill set. Everybody's at that really elite level, but what are some other things that you really noticed different that, wow, this isn't high school anymore?
Yeah, I would say one thing that sticks out to me most is probably versatility. You're playing against players that, like on our team, we have so many players that can play like the 2 through 5 positions just because, they have those skill sets and that body frame. So I think personally that really sets the game apart from high school, because you're not just a 5, you're not just a point guard, but everybody can handle the ball, everybody can shoot, and everybody can finish with contact. So
And I would also ask the question, how intense are, certainly the practices are longer than what you would see in high school, but talk about the classroom part of basketball. In other words, breaking down film, going over game plans, putting in new sets, things like that. How much more intense is that at the college level than it is at the high school level?
It's a lot more intense. Honestly, the game becomes more mental at the college level. High school, you might watch a few clips on the team you're going to play and have a scouting report. But in college, you might have an hour of film and scouting report on top of a 3-hour practice, plus walkthrough and stuff like that. So, in college, it's all about knowing your opponents, everything they're going to do, all their offenses and defenses and press breakers. You literally know everything.
Mike's talked about putting the student first and student athlete. And you've talked about the time management in this interview. How do you balance both being a student and an athlete? I think sometimes we forget that college athletes are students first. So I guess balance that act of basketball and being a student at the same time.
Yeah, so almost any free time I get, I'm either working on something or trying to get ahead. That was key for me, was if I knew I had an assignment due and we were going on a road trip, I would get with my professors and, plan kind of what I had to get done. That way I wasn't cramming when I got back, late at night.
So you think about playing in the Northern 10 Conference and, most everybody's fairly close. You go down Route 602 to play Colonel Crawford. You go across the county a little bit to play Bucyrus and Winford. You go north to play Seneca East, among others. But that's a lot different when you get in college. And road trips are really, truly road trips that last the whole weekend and are a lot different. Tell our viewers kind of about how that works and what's involved with that and the amount of time and the things that you do when you're on the road.
Yeah, you honestly live on the road in college. That is no lie. But, I loved it because, you get that opportunity to see places that you'd never be able to visit. For example, like when we played in Nashville, Tennessee, we went down, I would say 2 or 3 days early before we played. And luckily we did get to sightsee a little bit. But then after that, you're focused on the game and go back to the hotel, you watch film that night in the lobby. You have walkthrough. You might even have a practice if you can get in their gym. And then, the game the next day, and then almost like a whole nother day of traveling.
Being the fact that Nashville is the home of country music, I'm sure you didn't mind that at all. Is that right?
Oh, I loved it there. Favorite place.
I still don't understand, I guess, how do you get pumped up for a game with country music? What are some of the go-tos, I guess?
Just gets me in the zone, I don't know. It just reminds me of home, and I don't know. It's just something I've always listened to.
You got a favorite artist?
Country artist or just artist in general?
Yeah, country artist.
Country. Luke Combs, definitely at the top.
I have to claim no knowledge on that, so won't find a lot of country on my playlist. Courtney, when you made that decision, you had talked about it felt like home, and they offered the program that you wanted. What are you studying at Rio Grande, and what do you hope to do with your degree when you finish?
Yeah, so I'm actually doing a dual licensure program. So I'll be able to teach elementary education and then special education K through 12. So I guess my goal is to come back home and get a job and then coach as well.
Basketball over volleyball, of course, though, right?
Yeah, basketball.
But if they ask you to be a volleyball coach, would you consider it?
I would consider it, yep.
All right.
So I guess looking forward to this season, and hopefully we have one. How will the Red Storm be looking this year? What are some of the recruits looking like, and some new players coming in, along with the returning players as well?
Yeah, so last season we were a very young team, and now we've all had that time to adjust and develop. We only lost one senior, though, Sydney Holden, and, she was kind of a do-it-all player. She was our conference player of the year, and then she'll be a future Hall of Famer for sure. But we definitely have that talent to replace her. And with the recruiting class coming in, they all have solid high school backgrounds. So, overall, we're just really excited for this upcoming season. Like you said, if we have one, which we hope we do.
Courtney, I've got to know you over the last couple of years when you were at Buckeye Central through very similar interviews like this. And one thing that I've learned from you, and you never waver from it, is you're very grounded. You're very solid in your beliefs and your feelings and things along that lines. You're pretty true to heart. You wear your emotions on your sleeve, so to speak. And you've talked about home quite a bit tonight in the short time that we've talked to you. And we know that the Buckeye Central community is a very special place, as a lot of places in Crawford County and our surrounding area. But unfortunately, your community of New Washington and surrounding area has had to deal over the last few years with quite a bit of tragedy, especially young people who have tragically lost their lives. And talk about the challenges that had on everybody, including yourself, but how resilient and motivating the community is and supportive, and how much that means to you.
Yeah, the community is definitely special. And like you said, with this recent tragedy, everybody knows each other. So everybody knew them. We were classmates and best friends. And like in New Washington, when somebody hurts, everybody hurts. We're a big family. And that's the good thing about our community is, they're there for you in the good times and in the bad. And that's what, sticks out to me. And that's why I love it.
So you talk about community, you talk about home, and obviously you had the opportunity to play 1 year with your sister Claudia at Buckeye Central. And just tell us about that experience with her, what that was like playing with her for that one season.
Yeah, it was really, it was an awesome experience. We have similar IQ. We could literally just give each other a look and we knew what each other were thinking on the court, which you don't get with everyone. It was just that special bond, and that we played with each other, practiced with each other, and we just got to know each other really well. And, just really good sister memories that we'll be able to talk about forever.
So you've been one of the fortunate ones to play at the next level. And you also had an opportunity to come back home once things were kind of shut down and stuff, and you got to see Buckeye Central in the tournament, right? And was it difficult for you to sit there in the stands watching your sister and people that you had played with over the years and think, man, if I was only out there, I'd do this, or why didn't she do that, or why didn't coach call this? Was that difficult for you?
Yeah, definitely. It's not the same. It was difficult sitting there, and gosh, I love all of them. They're, those were some special days at Buckeye. It's just a special time to play in front of such great people, and there's really nothing like it. Nothing can compare to that.
I guess when you watch your sister play basketball, and especially once you got to the regionals and were able to watch them play this past year, do you take things back from that and go back to how you can work on your game personally, I guess?
Yeah, so we can kind of benefit from each other because, her strengths are my weaknesses and her weaknesses are my strengths. So, watching her, I guess I'm able to pick up on things, and studying film's a big thing. We do that together all the time, where we just go back and we'll watch games, and, you see things that you might not see when you're playing.
Being involved in any extracurricular activity in high school, I think, is a really valid thing, whether it be athletics or the arts or FFA or whatever it might be. Sports tend to get more of the exposure because a lot of people come out and see that. But we also know that it's a very cherished time. And having had kids go through that myself, we know that the senior year is probably the fastest year. If you were to go back and talk to upcoming seniors or any seniors that are going into their last year that play sports, what advice would you give to them?
I would say never take any moment for granted, and, you know, cherish it all while you have it. While you can put that jersey on, because someday, you know, you're just another spectator in the stands.
That's so true. At some point, it comes to an end, doesn't it?
It sure does, yep.
Do you think that your sister has a couple of years left here? Do you think that kind of goes into her motivation seeing you play basketball? Do you think she's looking forward to that moment as well?
Yeah, definitely. Gosh, she's wanted to play college basketball forever, you know, just like me. I knew that was our goal from day one. So she's kind of in this time where, you know, it's really critical right now and things are picking up for her. So, you know, but she has some time here to figure out what she wants and what's the best fit for her.
That leads me to a question. Would it be collectively a good thing that she would follow your footsteps and go to Rio Grande, or do you think she needs to find and blaze her own path and do her own thing at this point, considering that you already played together in high school?
Yeah, it would be awesome to play together, honestly, but I know how important it is to go somewhere that feels like home. So, I mean, that's my advice to her. And, you know, she'll figure that out.
Well, Mike, we are almost towards our rapid fire section as we're still visiting with Courtney Pifher, former Buckeye Central student athlete, and now a incoming sophomore at Rio Grande. Mike, do you have anything else before we head to the next section?
Fire it up, baby. You can fire up the rapid fire tonight.
All right. Courtney, if you had one restaurant to go to on the face of the earth, it was the last restaurant in the world, where?
Olive Garden.
Olive Garden. Good choice. What's the go-to there?
Chicken Alfredo. Big
Chicken
pasta.
Alfredo.
Yeah.
Now, people that say they like Olive Garden, I always return and ask the question, is it out of bounds to smuggle in Fazoli's breadsticks to marry up with the Olive Garden salad? Is that like against the law?
Go for it. I mean,
I think if
Whatever
you
it
stuff
takes,
them in a
right?
bag, I think if you stuff them in a bag, you're all right. Just take them in. I did hear today that Olive Garden is bringing back the foot-long chicken parmesan. So, Mike, does that interest you at all?
A foot long, huh?
Yeah, foot-long chicken parmesan.
That would sound pretty good. All right, Courtney, how about little TV action? Are you binge watching anything on Netflix?
I'm not a big TV person, honestly, but just a big outdoors person. And if I do, it's sports or game shows usually.
Game shows?
Yeah,
Like
like
what?
Family Feud, shows like that.
Okay, fair enough.
Since you've been home in the summer, do you find yourself watching like TV shows in the morning, Price is Right, Let's Make a Deal, all that?
No, honestly, no. I get up, I have my routine. Usually I try to get my workout in.
Nice. So we already talked about some music and how you love country music. Is there any other pregame hype music that gets you in the mood, gets you in the mode?
Yeah, any song by Imagine Dragons is good.
So you had a lot of opportunity to play in a lot of different places in high school. Of course, I assume Buckeye Central was always your favorite place to play because there's no place like home. But what were some of your other favorite gyms that you got to play in good atmospheres when you were in high school?
Yeah, so I would say the Schottenstein was a dream come true to play in. And then if I had to play somewhere in the league, I would say Seneca East.
Always had some good battles there, correct?
Yeah. Yes, good battles, good atmosphere.
I guess going off of that, who are some of the toughest players that you played against? Either, I guess, at Rio Grande or mostly at Buckeye Central?
The Clunan sisters from Cornerstone, actually twins, stick out to me. And they're going to play at Ursuline this fall. Just good players. I mean, can almost do everything.
So if Claudia was in the picture right now, and I asked you the question, who's a better all-around player, you or her, how would you answer that, and how would she answer that?
I would say me. I know she would say her. So I guess we'll just
Yeah, we'll leave it at that because maybe someday we'll get a chance to ask Claudia herself, and we'll see what she says to that. And I'll remind her of your answer for sure. Very good. Well, we need to wrap up things here. Courtney, do you have anybody you'd like to shout out specifically tonight?
my buddy Caitlin.
Caitlin's watching or going to watch, right?
Yep, that's the plan.
All right, very good. And I know who you're referring to, and I think that's outstanding how you've taken her under your wing and allowed her to be a big part of your life and your career, and I give you a lot of kudos for that. And she's a very special young lady, and that's fantastic. So hope you're enjoying this, Caitlin, for sure. Anybody else?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay. Jared, any parting questions for Courtney tonight?
No, just thank you, Courtney, for joining us tonight, and happy to have you on the show, and maybe here in the future we'll have you again.
Yep, thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Absolutely. You're a very special athlete. You're a very special person. As I mentioned, so grounded. You're not really full of yourself at all. You let your actions do the talking for you, and I really respect that and just appreciate you, and so glad that someone from our local community is doing well, not only on the athletic court, but in the classroom as well. And you're certainly going to be a very welcomed addition, hopefully in this area, in the classroom, helping young people reach their dreams someday. So I give you a lot of credit for that. And again, certainly appreciate you taking time for us tonight.
Yep, thanks for the kind words.
You bet. I need to remind everybody that the comments and views expressed in this podcast series are those of Mike Sparks, Jared Moore, and our guest. And this podcast is not associated in any way with WBCO or WQEL Radio. Jared, any parting words before we close tonight?
No, just looking forward to more episodes to come. Once again, thank you, Courtney, and see everybody next week.
Yeah, sounds great. We will be making a decision very soon who our next guest will be, and we will post that information on our Twitter page at Overtime Podcasts 2. Just drop the T at the end and add a number 2, and also on Facebook as well. That'll put a wrap to episode number 15 of the Overtime Podcast with Sparksy and Jared. So glad to have you aboard tonight. And I'll close and remind you, as I do each and every week, a spirit with a vision is a dream with a mission. Have a good night, everybody.